Hello, good day everyone. It is a great pleasure to be with you today. I would like to extend my warmest greetings to our organizers, fellow speakers, and all participants who have taken the time to join in this webinar. Allow me to introduce myself. I am Dr. John Patrick Anrevillones, a professional teacher, researcher, and a Doctor of Philosophy graduate. I am currently serving as a master teacher at the Schools Division Office of Rizal, specifically at San Juan Elementary School, Taytay Rizal, where I continuously engage in instructional leadership, coaching, mentoring, and providing technical assistance, and even research initiatives aimed at improving teaching and learning outcomes. I really feel honored as a research speaker in this webinar. And with that, I would like to express my sincere gratitude to the CEO of World Education Training and Development Services, Dr. Blessedy M. Cervantes, for inviting me to serve as one of the resource speakers in this webinar. It is truly an honor to be given an opportunity to share my knowledge, experiences, and expertise with such a distinguished group of participants. I deeply appreciate the trust, the confidence that you have in me, and being part of this meaningful event is not only a privilege, but also a valuable opportunity for professional growth, collaboration, and continued learning. Thank you once again for this opportunity. I look forward to contributing to the success of this webinar and engaging with everyone in a meaningful and productive discussion. All right, so perhaps we can now proceed. I am tasked to share with you a topic entitled Building Leadership Capacity in Schools. In today's rapidly changing educational landscape, schools are no longer improved by the effort of one leader alone. Instead, school improvement happens when leadership is shared, developed, and multiplied among teachers and staff. This is the heart of our discussion today, the so-called building leadership capacity in schools. Leadership capacity building means strengthening the ability of the individuals within the schools to lead, influence, and contribute to instructional improvement regardless of their position. It is about creating a culture where leadership is not concentrated in one person, but distributed across the entire school community. When leadership capacity is strong, schools become more collaborative, more responsive, and more effective in addressing the needs of the learners. And so for our expected learning outcomes, by the end of this session, participants are expected to have their leadership skills strengthened in terms of their ability to, number one, identifying and developing teacher leaders. Number two, creating a leadership vision statement. And lastly, delegating responsibilities effectively. Through this process, we aim to foster a school culture that values collaboration, shared responsibility, and collective ownership of learning outcomes. As we move through each topic, I encourage everyone to reflect not only as a participant, but as instructional leaders in your own schools or organization. Let us think about how we can move from being individual contributors to becoming leaders who develop other leaders. Because sustainable school improvement does not happen through effort alone, it happens through shared leadership and collective growth. So, with that, let us begin our discussion on identifying and developing teacher leaders. For this slide, what leadership really means. Many people think leadership simply means having authority or being in a position of power. But in reality, leadership in education is not about giving orders. It is about influencing others towards a shared goal. In schools, leadership is about guiding teachers so that everyone works toward improving student learning. I myself, as a master teacher, I really experience this every day. I do not lead teachers through authority alone. Instead, leadership happens through mentoring, coaching, and modeling effective practices. For example, when I conduct classroom observation or mentoring sessions, the goal is not to criticize or control teachers. The goal is to support them in improving their instructional practices. True leadership happens when teachers follow guidance, not because they are required to, but because they see the value of the direction being given. When teachers believe in the purpose and sincerity of the leader, collaboration becomes stronger and the school moves forward together. Since leadership in school is not limited to the principal or master teachers, it becomes important to recognize that leadership can also emerge from other teachers within the organization. Identifying teacher leaders. Identifying them is essential in achieving school success because they often become the future instructional leaders of the organization. Teacher leaders are those who influence their colleagues positively and contribute to improving teaching practices. As instructional leaders, part of our responsibility is to recognize teachers who show leadership potential. These are teachers who, number one, willingly support colleagues, share effective teaching strategies for number two. Number three is demonstrate initiative in solving classroom challenges. And lastly, we have show commitment to improving student learning. In my experience, in terms of mentoring the teachers, leadership potential sometimes appears in simple ways. For examples, there are teachers who voluntarily share instructional materials, as is colleagues who are struggling with lesson preparation or suggest new strategies during our last sessions. These teachers may not yet hold formal leadership positions, but their actions already demonstrate leadership qualities. When schools recognize and nurture these individuals, they help build a strong leadership pipeline for the future. Once potential teacher leaders are identified, the next important step is understanding the qualities that make a leader effective in guiding others. Major qualities of a good leader. Number one is visionary and forward thinking. A good leader is able to see possibilities for improvement and guide others towards that direction. Visionary leaders think beyond the present situation. They ask questions such as, how can we improve student learning outcomes? Another thing is, how can we strengthen our instructional practices? As a master teacher, part of being forward thinking is helping teachers anticipate the needs of learners. For instance, we know that learners today require not only basic knowledge, but also critical thinking and problem solving skills. Therefore, during mentoring sessions, I encourage teachers to move beyond simple recall questions and instead use higher order thinking questions. By guiding teachers in this direction, we help prepare our learners for future challenges. Another thing, we have honest and accountable. Leadership requires integrity. Teachers respect leaders who are honest, transparent, and accountable for their actions. In instructional leadership, accountability also means modeling professional standards. For example, when providing feedback to teachers, leaders must be fair and constructive. If teachers see that feedback is sincere and intended for improvement, they are more open to guidance. Accountability also means leaders are willing to reflect on their own practices and continuously improve themselves. Aside from these major qualities, there are also other important personal traits that strengthen leadership relationship within the school. So here are the other good qualities of an effective leader. Number one is respectful. Yes, respectful. Respect is the foundation of effective leadership. Teachers come from diverse experiences and professional backgrounds. Leaders must value these differences and treat everyone with dignity. In mentoring, showing respect encourages the teachers to share their ideas and challenges openly. Another thing, we have the good listener. Leadership is not only about giving advice, it is also about listening carefully to understand teachers' concerns. For example, when teachers experience classroom challenges, they often need someone who listens first before offering suggestions. Listening helps leaders understand the real issues and provide more appropriate support. Another one, good quality of a leader is positive, being optimistic. Leaders also set the emotional tone of the workplace. A positive leader helps maintain motivation even during challenging situations. In schools, teachers sometimes face heavy workloads or difficult classroom situations. A positive attitude from leaders can help encourage teachers to remain focused on solutions rather than the problems. Another good quality is being helpful. Effective leaders are willing to support others. I myself, as a master teacher, being helpful may involve assisting teachers in lesson planning, sharing instructional resources, and demonstrating teaching strategies. When leaders provide practical assistance, teachers feel supported and become more confident in their teaching practices. Yes, that's very evident. Beyond identifying leadership qualities, schools must also intentionally develop potential leaders so that they are prepared to guide others in the future. We have developing potential leaders. Developing future leaders is important because schools must ensure continuity in leadership and instructional improvement. Teacher leaders should be given opportunities to develop competencies such as understanding leadership styles, communicating effectively, making sound decisions, and of course, continuously learning and improving. As instructional leaders, we can develop teacher leaders through mentoring and coaching, leadership roles in school programs, facilitating learning action cells, and leading collaborative lesson planning. In my experience, teachers grow as leaders when they are given opportunities to guide others and share their own expertise. Leadership development is therefore a process of gradually building confidence and competence. One important area that teacher leaders must understand is the different leadership styles that can influence how they guide others. So let's talk about the different leadership styles. We have inspiring and transformational. Transformational leaders inspire others to improve and grow. Instead of focusing only on tasks, they encourage teachers to reflect on their own purpose as educators. For example, excuse me, when mentoring teachers, transformational leadership involves motivating them to see how their work can truly impact the lives of our learners. So, this approach encourages teachers to continuously improve their instructional practices. Another thing, we have adaptive and flexible. Leadership also requires flexibility. Schools operate in dynamic environments where challenges constantly change. Effective leaders adapt their strategies depending on the situation. For example, some teachers may require more guidance, while others may simply need encouragement and autonomy. Instructional leaders adjust their mentoring approaches to meet these different needs. Regardless of the leadership styles that I have mentioned, one essential skill remains critical for every leader, and that is so called effective communication. So, now let's talk about the communication as a leadership superpower. Communication is one of the most powerful tools of leadership. A good leader communicates ideas clearly so that everyone understands the direction and expectations. In these schools, clear communication helps prevent misunderstandings and ensures that teachers are aligned with the school's goals. However, communication is not only about speaking, it is also about listening. When teachers feel that their voices are heard, they become more engaged and more willing to collaborate. In my mentoring experiences, some of the most productive conversations happen when teachers feel comfortable sharing their thoughts and classroom experiences. Listening creates opportunities for better ideas and stronger teamwork. So, aside from communication, leaders must also be capable of making thoughtful and responsible decisions. So, at this point, let's talk about making good decisions. Trusting others to decide. Good leaders do not try to control every decision. Instead, they empower others to take responsibility and demonstrate their capabilities. For example, teacher leaders may be assigned to lead certain programs or facilitate professional discussion. This helps build confidence and leadership experiences. Another one, we have balanced thinking. Effective decisions require careful analysis. Leaders must consider different perspectives before deciding on the best course of action. Balanced thinking ensures that decisions support both teacher development and student learning. We also have staying calm under pressure. This is very important. Schools often face unexpected challenges, tight deadlines, urgent reports, or classroom issues. These are very evident in our situation. Leaders must remain calm and composed in their situations or in this kind of situations. When leaders stay calm, they help maintain stability and, of course, encourage others to focus on solutions rather than panic. Leadership also involves building a collaborative environment where teachers support each other's professional growth. Creating a strong and supportive team, let's have the so-called celebrate and appreciate effort. Recognizing the efforts of teachers helps strengthen motivation. Simple recognition of good teaching practices encourages teachers to continue improving. Another thing, we have build trust every day. Trust is built through consistent actions. Leaders demonstrate trust by supporting teachers, respecting their professional judgment, and providing constructive feedback. We also have embraced different background and voices. Schools are diverse communities. When leaders value different perspectives and experiences, they create an environment where collaboration and innovation flourish. Finally, one important principle of leadership is that learning never stops. Yes, never stop learning. Feedback is a gift. Feedback helps leaders and teachers identify areas for improvement. As instructional leaders, we should welcome feedback because it helps us grow professionally. Keep expanding your knowledge. Education continues to evolve, and leaders must remain lifelong learners. This may involve attending professional development programs, reading educational research, or learning from our colleagues. As leaders, our commitment to learning sets an example for teachers and ultimately benefits our learners. At this point, we have now completed the first highlight of our session, which focuses on identifying and developing teacher leaders. As we have discussed, teacher leadership is not limited to formal positions or titles. It is about recognizing the strengths, initiative, and influence of teachers within the school. Teacher leaders are those who demonstrate commitment, take initiative, support their colleagues, and contribute to improving teaching and learning practices. Developing teacher leaders, therefore, requires intentional effort from school heads. It involves providing opportunities for mentoring, delegating meaningful responsibilities, encouraging collaboration, and creating a supportive environment where teachers feel empowered to lead. When we invest in our teachers, we are not only strengthening individual capacity, but also building a sustainable leadership culture within our schools. Now, to help you apply these ideas in your own context, we will move to a short activity. As part of this session, you will be working on a worksheet, excuse me, related to this topic. For task number one, identifying potential teacher leaders, you have to reflect on your current school context, identify teachers who demonstrate leadership potential, consider their strength, behaviors, and contributions, and think about how they can further develop as teacher leaders. Your task number two would be application on your school context. Based on the concept discussed in this session, describe how you will implement the idea of developing teacher leaders in your school. What specific strategies or actions will you take? So you have to take this opportunity not just to reflect, but to begin planning concrete steps that you can bring back to your own respective schools. And that would be your asynchronous worksheet, your task that you will accomplish as part of this session. And now let us have another topic, the second highlight of this session. Why every leader needs a clear picture of the future. Visioning defines the future direction. As leaders in education, one of our most important responsibilities is to provide direction for the people we lead. Leadership is not only about managing tasks or implementing programs. Leadership is about helping others see where the organization is going. In the context of school, visioning means helping teachers understand the kind of learning environment we want to build our learners. As a master teacher serving for 14 years in a public education system, I realized that teachers perform better when they understand the direction of the school. When teachers clearly see where the school is heading, they become more intentional in their teaching practices. For example, when mentoring teachers in our school, I often begin by asking, what kind of learners do we want our pupils to become? When teachers begin to think about the future of their learners, not just finishing lessons today, they begin to adjust their strategies. They become more focused on developing comprehension, critical thinking, and learner engagement. Visioning therefore helps leaders guide teachers toward a shared educational purpose. More than strategic planning. Many people think leadership is mainly about planning programs or organizing activities, but effective leadership goes beyond planning. Strategic planning identifies what activities will be done, but vision explains why those activities matter. For instance, as a master teacher, I sometimes guide teachers in implementing reading interventions or differentiated instructions. If teachers see this simply as compliance tasks, they may just follow instruction mechanically. But when I explain the bigger purpose, that every learner deserves the opportunity to become a confident reader, teachers begin to approach the intervention with greater commitment. Leadership therefore involves connecting daily practices with meaningful educational goals. Create shared understanding. A clear vision also helps leaders create shared understanding among teachers. And in schools, teachers come from different backgrounds, teaching styles, and even experiences. Without a shared vision, Teachers may work hard individually, but move in different directions. One of the responsibilities of instructional leaders like me is to align the teaching practices toward common learning goals. For example, during mentoring session or LAC sessions, I often emphasize common instructional priorities, which include strengthening reading comprehension, improving questioning techniques, and promoting active student participation. When teachers understand that these priorities are part of a shared vision for improving learning, collaboration becomes easier. Leadership, therefore, help teachers move not only as individuals, but as a unified professional community. Now, gives meaning to daily work. Teaching involves many responsibilities: lesson preparation, assessments, documentation, meetings, and reportings. These are the many tasks that we do usually every day. Without a clear vision, teachers may feel burdened that they are simply completing these tasks. However, leadership helps teachers understand the significance of the daily efforts. For example, when I conduct classroom observation or coaching sessions, I always try to highlight how specific teaching practices affect student learning. When teachers see that small improvements, like asking deeper questions or guiding learners through reading comprehension strategies, this can significantly influence student understanding. Their work becomes more meaningful. Leadership therefore help teachers recognize that every instructional decision contributes to the future of our learners. Having discussed why leaders must clearly see the future of the organization, let us now examine why vision is so important in the leadership practice. So, why vision matters? Number one, it provides clear direction. One of the most important roles of a leader is to provide direction for the team. Teachers are professionals who constantly make instructional decisions. However, when teachers lack clear direction from leadership, they may become uncertain about priorities. As an instructional leader, I often guide teachers in identifying what truly matters most in classroom instruction. For instance, in mentoring sessions, I remind teachers that the ultimate goal is not simply completing the lesson, but ensuring that learners truly understand the lesson itself. When leaders clearly communicate instructional priorities, teachers can focus their efforts more effectively. Another thing, aligns organizational goals. Vision also helps align the efforts of different members of the organization. In schools, different grade levels and subject areas may have varying approaches. Leadership ensures that these efforts are aligned toward improving student learning. As a master teacher, part of my responsibility is supporting teachers through coaching and mentoring. When the school vision emphasizes improving literacy or strengthening learner engagement, mentoring conversations naturally focus on those priorities. For example, during coaching discussions, I might ask teachers, how can we adjust this activity so that the learners become more engaged in the lesson? This conversation helps ensure that classroom practices align with the broader instructional goals of the school. Another one, encourages innovation and growth. A clear vision also encourages teachers to explore new strategies and improve their practice. Teachers are more willing to try innovative methods when they see how these approaches support the school's vision. For example, in my mentoring work, I sometimes encourage teachers to incorporate interactive learning strategies or digital resources. Initially, some teachers may hesitate because they feel unfamiliar with these methods. However, they understand that the goal is to improve learner engagement and comprehension. They become more open to experimenting with new approaches. Leadership therefore creates an environment when teacher feels supported in their professional growth. Another thing is builds a commitment within the teams. Vision also strengthens commitment among teachers. When teachers believe in the direction of the school, they develop a stronger sense of ownership and responsibility. In my experience mentoring teachers, I have seen how powerful this can be. When teachers witness learners improving, especially those who previously struggled, they feel a sense of fulfillment. That sense of fulfillment strengthens their commitment to their work. So, therefore, leadership helps transform teaching from simply performing duties into a shared mission of improving learners' lives. Now that we understand why vision is important in leadership, we can now explore the qualities of leaders who successfully guide their teams toward that vision. So these are the characteristics of the visionary leaders. Number one is future-oriented thinking. Visionary leaders constantly think about the long-term development of learners and teachers. They ask questions such as, what skills will our learners need in the future? Another question is, how can we prepare our teachers for evolving educational demands? As instructional leaders, we must anticipate the changing needs of education and guide teachers accordingly. For example, we know that today's learner must develop not only academic knowledge but also critical thinking and problem solving skills. This means they are no longer expected just to memorize facts, but to understand, analyze, and apply what they learn in real situations. For instance, instead of simply recalling details from a story, learners are now asked to explain why a character made a decision or how the story relates to their own experiences. In the same way, problem solving help learners think of possible solutions to real life challenges, not just answer routine questions, wherein, as instructional leaders, this remind us to design learning activities that go beyond memorization and instead developing deeper thinking and independent learning among students. Leaders therefore guide teachers in adopting strategies that encourage deeper learning rather than simple memorization. Next, quality of a good leader is inspirational communication. Visionary leaders also communicate in ways that inspire and motivate teachers. Communication in leadership is not simply giving instructions. It provides encouraging teachers and recognizing their professional efforts. In mentoring sessions, I always try to acknowledge teachers' strengths because um, it can help improve some of the noticeable areas of improvements they have. For example, I might say, I noticed that your questioning strategies encourage a student to participate actively. That's good. This is a strong point in your teaching. Perhaps we can further strengthen comprehension by integrating more analytical questions that require learners to explain, compare, or justify the answers. This kind of communication affirms what teachers are doing well while gently guiding them toward deeper instructional improvement, helping build both confidence and professional growth. It also strengthens trust between the leader and the teacher, making coaching conversation more collaborative rather than evaluative. Another quality is strategic decision making. Visionary leaders must also make decisions that support long term goals. In schools, leaders constantly face decisions about programs, trainings, and instructional priorities. Effective leaders evaluate which initiatives truly contribute to improving student learning. For example, when mentoring teachers, I often encourage them to focus on instructional strategies that directly improve learner understanding, rather than simply adding more activities for compliance or variety. The goal is not to increase workload, but to strengthen the quality of learning experiences inside the classroom. In coaching conversation, I usually remind teachers that not all activities lead to learning impact. So we need to be intentional, excuse me, we need to be intentional in choosing strategies that truly support learners' needs. Strategic leadership ensures that schools Efforts are not scattered, but are instead purpose-driven, aligned, and focused on meaningful learner outcomes, especially improve understanding and performance. Another quality is adaptability and openness. Education is continuously evolving, and leaders must remain open to new ideas. Instructional leaders must be willing to learn alongside teachers. For example, when new technologies or teaching strategies are introduced, leaders should not simply require teachers to adopt them without guidance or support. Instead, instructional leaders should model openness to learning by exploring the tools themselves, asking questions, and even acknowledging that they are also in the process of learning. In real school practice, this can mean sitting with teachers during demonstrations, trying out digital tools together, or openly discussing challenges in using new approaches in the classroom. When teachers see that leaders are willing to learn alongside them, the pressure of change becomes less intimidating. This attitude creates a safe and supportive environment when teachers feel more confident to experiment, reflect, and improve their practice. Ultimately, it encourages teachers to see change not as a burden, but as part of their continuous professional growth and development. Another quality is ability to inspire trust. Trust is essential in leadership, especially in mentoring and coaching teachers, because it is the foundation of meaningful professional growth. Without trust, feedback may feel like criticism, but with trust, it becomes guidance that inspires improvement. Teachers become more open to feedback when they feel respected, supported, and genuinely understood. This is built through simple but consistent actions. Listening first before giving advice, acknowledging strengths before pointing out areas for improvement, and showing that purpose of coaching is to help, not to judge. As a master teacher, I always approach mentoring as a collaborative process rather than evaluative one. I do this by sitting down with teachers, asking about their classroom experiences, and discussing together what strategies may work best for their learners. When teachers feel that the goal is professional improvement rather than criticism, they become more willing to reflect, adjust, and grow. In the end, transform mentoring into a partnership. And it is in that partnership where real instructional growth happens. After examining the characteristic of visionary leaders, let us now explore the essential elements that make a vision clear, powerful, and achievable in schools. So these are the elements of a strong vision. Number one, we have clarity. A strong vision must be clearly understood by everyone in the organization. If teachers cannot easily explain the vision of the school, it becomes difficult for them to align their instructional practices with that vision. Leaders must therefore communicate the vision in simple and meaningful language so that everyone in that school clearly understand it and can relate to it in their daily work. A vision becomes powerful when it is not complicated, but clear, direct, and easy to remember. Instead of using abstract or technical terms, leaders should use words that teachers can easily connect to classroom practices such as improving learning understanding, strengthening our reading skills, or enhancing student engagement. As instructional leaders, this also means consistently reinforcing the vision through mentoring, coaching, and everyday conversation with teachers. When the vision is simple and well communicated, it becomes easier for teachers to understand, embrace, and apply it in their instruction. Another one, we have relevance. The vision must also directly respond to the actual needs of learners and teachers. A vision is only meaningful when it is grounded in real classroom realities, not just ideal statements. For instance, if learners are struggling with reading comprehension, then it is more relevant for the school to have a vision that emphasizes strengthening literacy, comprehension skills, and learner understanding. This ensures that the vision is disconnected from what the teachers are expecting every day in the classrooms. As instructional leaders, we must continuously observe, listen, and reflect on what teachers and learners truly need. In doing so, we ensure that the vision remains practical, responsive, and aligned with the real instructional priorities of the school, make it more effective in guiding teaching and learning improvement. We also have inspiration. A strong vision should inspire teachers and encourage them to pursue professional excellence in the daily practice. It should not only guide direction, but also create a sense of purpose that motivates the teachers to give their best to their learners. Teachers become more engaged when they feel that their work is part of a bigger and meaningful educational mission, that what they do inside the classroom directly shapes the future of their students. When teachers see that their efforts help learners grow academically and even personally, becoming more confident, more capable, and more independent, their motivation naturally increases. In this way, a strong vision becomes not just a statement, but a source of passion and commitment in teaching. Another one is future orientation. Vision must also look beyond present challenges and current classroom situations. A strong vision does not only respond to what is happening today, but also prepares the school for what the learners will need in the future. Education is not just about completing today's lesson. It is about preparing learners for the changing demands of tomorrow, where skills such as adaptability, communication, and critical thinking are essential. As instructional leaders, we guide teachers to design learning experiences that go beyond memorization and routinary tasks. We encourage strategies that help learners become adaptive, reflective, and independent thinkers. Learners who are prepared for lifelong learning and real world challenges. Another one and the last one is achievability. Finally, a vision must be achievable and realistic so that the teachers and stakeholders remain motivated to work toward it. A vision that feels impossible may discourage effort, but a vision that is well grounded builds confidence and commitment. As instructional leaders, we translate the vision into practical strategies such as mentoring, coaching, and continuous professional development. These are the actions that help bridge the gap between the vision and actual classroom practice. Through consistent guidance, collaboration, and support, the vision slowly becomes part of the school's daily routines. Not just something written or posted, but something that is lived out in teaching, learning, and decision making every day. And now, understanding the elements of a strong vision lead us to the next important question. How can leaders translate vision into concrete instructional leadership practices within the school? We will now proceed to the creation of our vision statement. When leaders talk about vision, it is easy to create statements that sound inspiring. However, one common challenge in organization, including the schools, is that vision sometimes remain only a statement on paper. As instructional leaders, our responsibility is not only to articulate a vision, but to translate that vision into something practical and actionable for teachers. One useful framework that helps leader make vision more practical is the SMART criteria. I know for sure that you are all familiar with this acronym, the SMART. Although vision statements are often broad, applying SMART principle ensure that the vision becomes clear, realistic, achievable within the context of the school. So let us start with letter S, specific. A vision should clearly describe what the school aims to achieve in terms of learner outcomes and instructional focus. In instructional leadership, being specific is very important because it gives teacher a clear sense of direction on what aspect of teaching and learning should be prioritized and improved. When a vision is too general, such as our school aims to improve student learning, teacher may interpret it in different ways, which can lead to inconsistent instructional practices across classrooms. However, when the vision is made more specific, such as our school envisions all learners becoming confident and independent readers, it provides a clear instructional target that every teacher can align with. In my experience as an instructional leader, especially during mentoring and coaching, Specificity becomes the foundation of instructional improvement. It allows me to guide teachers toward concrete practices, such as implementing guided reading strategies to support struggling readers, strengthening vocabulary development to improve comprehension, and using higher order comprehension to deepen understanding. So, because the vision is specific, teachers are no longer guessing what to improve. Instead, they gain clarity on what instructional focus they should strengthen and how their classroom practices contribute to the shared goal of the school. So, that is for letter S, specific. Let's have now letter M, which is measurable. A vision also becomes more meaningful when progress can be observed, tracked, and reflected upon over time. In schools, measurement is not limited to academic test scores alone. It also includes visible indicators of learning development and classroom engagement. This may include improvement in reading levels, increased learner participation during discussions, better comprehension of text, and also stronger classroom engagement and interaction. In instructional leadership practice, measurability becomes a powerful tool for reflection. During mentoring session, I often ask teachers, how do we know that our learners are improving in reading comprehension? This question helps teachers move behind the assumption and identify concrete evidence, such as the result from reading assessments, progress in oral reading fluency, learners' ability to retell or explain text in their own words, and of course, active participation during reading activities. All these indicators allow teachers and leaders to clearly see whether instructional efforts are effective and whether the vision is gradually becoming visible in actual classroom practice and learner performance. So that is letter M, measurable. Let's now have letter A, which refers to achievable. A strong vision must be realistic and attainable. Otherwise, it may discourage teachers instead of motivating them. In leadership, when a vision feels too idealistic or unreachable, teachers may lose confidence in their ability to contribute meaningfully. For example, it would be unrealistic for a school to declare all learners will become excellent leaders within 1 month. Instead, instructional leaders break the vision into manageable and progressive steps, such as strengthening foundational reading skills in every grade level, providing consistent and structured reading intervention, and also conducting regular mentoring and coaching for teachers on literacy strategies. As a master teacher, one of my role is in mentoring is to help teachers understand that instructional improvement is a gradual process. Through consistent practice, reflection, and support, it is well built. When teachers see that progress happens step by step, the vision becomes more realistic, attainable, and motivating. So that is letter A, achievable. Let's now have letter R, which is relevant. A vision must directly respond to the real and current needs of the learners and teachers within the school context. Relevance ensures that the vision is not abstract or theoretical, but grounded in actual classroom challenges. In many public schools, one of the most pressing instructional concern is reading comprehension, difficulty among learners. Because of this, a vision that emphasizes literacy development becomes highly relevant and meaningful. From my experience in mentoring teachers, we often encounter learners who can decode words fluently, but struggle to understand meaning of what they read. This gap highlights the need for stronger instructional focus on comprehension. When the school vision prioritizes reading comprehension and literacy development, teachers naturally begin to adjust the instructional strategies. They become more intentional in designing lessons that focus on understanding rather than mere decoding. This ensures that the vision remains strongly connected to the real instructional needs of the school, community, and directly supports learner development. And lastly, for the word SMART, for the acronym SMART, is the letter T, time bound. A vision becomes more actionable when it is supported by a clear time frame for progress and improvement. While the vision itself is long term, setting a time frame allows leaders to organize efforts and monitor growth in a structured way. For example, a school may set a goal to improve reading proficiency within the next 3 school years. Having a time frame helps instructional leaders to systematically monitor progress, evaluate whether strategies are working, adjust interventions when needed, and recognize and celebrate improvements along the way. For instructional leaders, this also ensures that mentoring, coaching, and professional development the activities are not done randomly but are strategically planned and aligned with long-term improvement goals. Ultimately, a time-bound vision helps transforms ideas into action by ensuring that progress is continuously monitored and supported over time. So those are the meaning of acronym SMART: specific, measurable, achievable, we have relevant, and of course, time bound. So these are the essential factors that we can use in order to create our vision statement. I have here a sample vision statement. So let us consider a sample vision statement for a school. Here it is. Our school envisions that within the next 3 years, all learners will demonstrate improved reading comprehension and critical thinking skills through engaging, learner centered instruction supported by collaborative teaching practices. So, this one is a sample of a vision statement. So, let us analyze this vision statement using the SMART principle. For specific, this vision clearly focuses on improving reading comprehension and critical thinking skill. So definitely this one is very specific. In terms of letter M, measurable, progress can be observed through reading assessments, classroom performance, and learner participation. So it can be measured through these factors. We have letter E, achievable. The vision can be supported through teacher mentoring, reading programs, and instructional improvement. So definitely, this vision statement can be achieved actually. Okay. Another one we have relevant. It addresses a common learning challenges in many schools, strengthening literacy skills. Okay. So it's very relevant since it is one of the major problems in any particular school. And then, of course, time bound. The vision sets a 3 year time frame for achieving improvement. So by considering the SMART principle, we are able to create or craft our own vision statement. So when leaders apply SMART principle, the vision becomes a practical guide for the leadership decisions, instructional coaching, and school improvement effort. So one of your tasks is to create your own vision statement. So I will be giving you the soft copy of what to accomplish. Perhaps you will accomplish it later or later in the afternoon or your own self-paced um, session. Okay? So, yeah. So that's how we create our vision statement. Yes. So after we have learned about in crafting vision statement and learning about its important, now it's better to understand the challenges in terms of visioning. So many leaders are capable of creating inspiring visions. However, the real leadership challenge is transforming that vision into a shared commitment among staff and teachers. In instructional leadership, vision becomes meaningful when teachers understand it, believe in it, and apply it in their classroom practices. Let us look at some common challenges that leaders encounter in this process. We have number one challenge is resistance to change. One of the most common challenges in leadership is resistance to change. Teachers, like professionals in any field, may feel comfortable with established routines. When new initiatives are introduced, some may feel uncertain or hesitant. As a master teacher who mentors colleagues, I have encountered situations where teachers initially feel uncomfortable with new teaching approaches. For example, when encouraging teachers to incorporate more learner centered activities, some teachers may prefer traditional lecture methods because they are familiar and predictable. In such situations, leadership requires patience and supportive coaching. Instead of forcing change, instructional leaders demonstrate how new strategies can benefit learners. When teachers observe improvements in student engagement and understanding, resistance gradually decreases. Another challenge is the lack of leadership consistency. It occurs when leadership messages or actions become inconsistent. If leaders frequently change priorities or initiatives, teachers may become confused about what truly matters. For example, if the school emphasizes reading improvement 1 month and then suddenly shifts attention to another unrelated program without continuity, teachers may feel uncertain about the direction of the school. Instructional leaders therefore play a crucial role in maintaining consistent focus on instructional priorities. Consistency helps teachers remain aligned with the vision and prevents initiative from becoming short lived efforts. Another challenge is that vision is too abstract. Sometimes vision statements sound inspiring, but are too vague for teachers to translate into practice. For example, a statement such as, "Our schools strive for excellence." While positive, it does not clearly indicate what excellence means in the classroom. Instructional leaders help translate abstract visions into specific instructional practices. For instance, if excellence means improving reading comprehension, leaders guide teachers to implement strategies such as guided reading, questioning techniques, interactive discussions. By making the vision concrete, teachers can connect it to their daily teaching. Another one, we have poor communication. This could be the last challenge. Even a strong vision may fail it if it's not communicated effectively. Communication is crucial and critical in a leadership skill. In schools, vision should not only appear in documents or presentations, it should be consistently reinforced through mentoring conversations, faculty meetings, classroom observations, and even professional discussions. In my experience as a master teacher, mentoring sessions provide valuable opportunities to connect the school vision with actual classroom practices. When teachers regularly hear and discuss the vision, it gradually becomes part of the school culture. So understanding these challenges help leaders become more intentional in guiding their teams. And now let us have the last topic as one of the highlights in this session: delegating responsibilities effectively. So, why delegation? When we talk about leadership in schools, one important skill that leaders must develop is the delegation. Delegation is not simply about assigning tasks to others. True delegation means sharing responsibility and empowering others to contribute to the success of the organization. In leadership, delegation is about building trust, accountability, and collaboration within the team. It is more than just assigning work and makes everyone accountable for the result. Delegation goes beyond simply telling someone what to do. It involves giving individuals the opportunity to take ownership of responsibilities and be accountable for outcomes. And in schools, this is especially important because many initiatives require collaboration. For example, as a master teacher, I cannot personally handle every instructional improvement initiative. Instead, I often work with teachers who lead specific activities such as facilitating learning outcomes or action cells, coordinating reading interventions, and organizing instructional materials for certain grade levels. When teachers take responsibilities for this task, they also become more accountable for the results, wherein this strengthens their sense of ownership and leadership. Delegation therefore helps build a culture where everyone contributes to improving teaching and learning. It is one of the key leadership qualities wherein no one becomes a great leader who wants to do everything by himself. A common mistake among leaders is believing that they must personally handle everything. However, leadership is not about doing everything alone. Leadership is about mobilizing the strength of the entire team. In schools, Leaders who try to do everything themselves often become overwhelmed, and the development of other teachers may be limited. As a master teacher, I realized that mentoring teachers includes giving them opportunities to lead certain tasks or initiatives. For example, during professional development sessions, I sometimes encourage teachers with particular strength to share their strategies with our colleagues. This allows them to develop confidence and leadership skills while also supporting the professional growth of others. Delegation therefore helps create more leaders within the school. Now, it is essential if you want to leverage your time as a manager. Time is one of the most limited resources in leadership. School leaders and instructional leaders handle many responsibilities, such as mentoring teachers, monitoring classroom instruction, supporting school programs, and coordinating improvement initiatives. Delegations allows leaders to focus on high impact responsibilities, such as guiding instructional improvement and supporting teacher development. For example, if a teacher leader coordinates a reading program, the instructional leader can focus more on coaching teachers on effective reading strategies. Delegation therefore helps leaders maximize their time while ensuring that important tasks continue to move forward. It is also a day-to-day activity of a leader. Delegation is not something that happens occasionally. It is a daily leadership practice. Every day in schools, leaders must decide which responsibilities can be handled by others and which require direct leadership involvement. Through regular delegation, leaders gradually build the leadership capacity of the entire team. Over time, teachers become more confident in taking initiative, solving problems, and guiding their colleagues. This process helps develop a strong and collaborative professional community within the school. Now that we understand why delegation is important, let us explore some practical tips on how leaders can delegate responsibilities effectively. So here are the tips in effective delegation. Number one, delegate responsibly, responsibility, not the work. One of the most important principles of delegation is that leaders should delegate responsibility, not just the task. Excuse me. If leaders only assign work without giving responsibility, the person may simply follow instruction without taking ownership. However, when responsibility is delegated, the individual becomes committed to achieving the desired outcome. For example, instead of simply asking a teacher to prepare materials for a reading activity, a leader might assign the teacher to lead the implementation of a reading intervention program for the grade level. This encourages the teacher to think more deeply about how to ensure the program becomes effective. Delegation therefore becomes a learning opportunity for emerging teacher leaders. Another one is show the big picture. It is an important aspect of delegation, helping people understand why the task matters. When individuals understand how their work contributes to the overall goals of the school, they become more motivated and committed. As instructional leaders, we should always connect delegated tasks with the broader mission of improving student learning. For instance, when assigning a teacher to lead a literacy activity, I often explain how the activity supports our goal of strengthening reading comprehension among learners. When teachers see the connection between their work and the school's vision, they approach the task with greater dedication. Another thing, establish clear parameters and expectations. Yes. Effective delegation also requires clarity. Leaders must communicate what the task involves, the expected outcomes, the available resources, and of course, the deadlines if necessary. Without clear expectations, misunderstandings may occur. In mentoring teachers, clarity ensures that both the leader and the teachers and the delegate understand what success look like. This allowed the delegated tasks to move forward smoothly and, of course, efficiently. So, delegation does not end after assigning responsibilities. Leaders must also ensure that the person has the authority and support needed to accomplish the task. Now, here are other tips in effective delegation. Delegate and give authority. When leaders delegate responsibilities, they must also provide the authority necessary to carry out the task. If someone is assigned responsibility but has no authority to make decisions, the delegation becomes ineffective. For example, if a teacher is assigned to coordinate on a reading activity, the teacher should also be allowed to organize the schedule, communicate with colleagues, make minor adjustments for the program. Providing authority empowers individuals and builds leadership confidence. Excuse me. Another thing is offer guidance and active advice without interfering. While leaders must provide guidance, they should avoid micromanaging the delegated tasks. Micromanagement can discourage initiative and creativity. Instead, leaders should allow individuals to explore their own approaches while remaining available for consultation. I also do allow teachers to implement their own strategies before offering suggestions. And by doing that, they are free to express themselves and it encourages professional growth and independent thinking. Another one is build accountability. Delegation should also include systems for accountability. Leaders can establish timeliness, progress updates, and regular check ins. This mechanism ensures that the delegated task remains on track while still allowing individuals to take ownership. Accountability helps maintain balance between autonomy and responsibility. Aside from providing authority and accountability, leaders must also continue supporting those who accept delegated responsibilities. So another tips we have provide backup and support when necessary. Leaders must remain available to provide assistance when challenges arise. In schools, unexpected issues may occur during program implementation. Leaders should therefore offer guidance and resources when needed. This shows that delegation is based on support and collaboration, not simply transferring the task. So another one is check progress and give feedback. Monitoring progress is another important leadership responsibility. Regular feedback helps ensure that delegated tasks are moving in the right direction. Feedback should include both recognition of the strength, constructive suggestion for improvement. This helps individuals continue developing their leadership skills. Another thing is give full credit to delegates if the task is successful. One of the most powerful leadership practices is recognizing the contribution of others. When delegated tasks succeed, leaders should acknowledge the efforts of the individuals involved. Recognition builds confidence and encourages teachers to continue taking leadership roles. At the same time, if challenges occur, leaders should avoid blaming the delegate. Instead, leaders should work together with the team to identify solution and improve the process. This is strengthen trust within the organization. Before we officially conclude, please be reminded that there will be worksheets for you to accomplish. Each of the highlighted topics in this session is accompanied by a corresponding worksheet designed to help you reflect, apply, and contextualize the concept discussed. These tasks are not just requirements, but opportunities for you to translate learning into practical strategies that you can implement in your respective schools. We encourage you to answer each worksheet thoughtfully and honestly, as this will serve as your initial action plans towards strengthening leadership capacity in your school. Thank you once again for your active participation, and we look forward to seeing your outputs. As we come to the end of our discussion, Let us be reminded that leadership in education is never about position. It is about purpose. We may hold different roles in our schools. We may be teachers, master teachers, coordinators, or school leaders. But we are united by one mission, and that is to improve the lives of our learners through quality education. Everything we discussed today, visioning, identifying teacher leaders, communication, decision making, delegation, and building teams, points to one powerful truth. Leadership is not a title we carry, but a responsibility we live every day. True leadership is seen in how we guide, support, and uplift others. It is reflected in how we help our teachers to grow, how we shape instruction, and how we ensure that every learner is given the opportunity to succeed. Because at the end of the day, a true leader is not measured by how much work they control, but how many people they empower to become better. So as we return to our schools and classrooms, may we continue to embody leadership that gives direction instead of confusion, builds collaboration instead of isolation, encourages growth instead of fear, and develops others instead of doing everything alone. If we live out these principles daily, then we are not only improving our schools, we are helping shape a stronger future for education. And always remember, leadership is not about being above others, it is about bringing others forward. Thank you very much, and let us continue to be leaders who inspire, empower, and transform education. Once again, this is Dr. John Patrick Ana Revillones. Thank you so much.